One thing that I want to bring out is also those logs. They are very helpful for the application team. Not only the infrastructure, not only the network engineer, also for the application team. If you have any application, do you know if they are working well? That's not easy to know. Usually when we speak with infrastructure team, they don't know that much about application because they don't have any visibility. Here, out of the box, let's say you have an application like this and you want to understand basically why I have those red logs entries. You just need basically to scroll down here and you have something called significance, right? And just out of the box, you understand that you have like 74% of those log entries here, which were basically you have like an abnormal event. You can see that you have also some of the requests which have not ended normally as well. So you have plenty of information. And you can go also to the application layer. So for instance, I know this application is an HTTP application. So if I just check the request code here, I know that 200 OK, it is 74% of the log here. But I have this kind of 404 here, which is 25%. So very easily again, I can troubleshoot my application and I can say, hey, I want to see only the 404. This is the filter that I have set up here. And now I can say, hey, I want to see exactly which HTTP object is generating this 404. So I can go basically to this URL path here, and I can say, hey, you see here, this logo.png is generating basically all those 404. So in a matter of few seconds, I can tell you that something is missing on this application. I can go even beyond that, because if I just check which server is generating this here, you see here this .2. So again, in few seconds, I know that this application is not configured properly. There is this object here, which is missing on this server. It took me, what, 1 minute to do that. What we are trying to do here is just to help you to avoid to do something that maybe you like, but it takes a lot of time, TCP dump. Try to do the same in TCP dump. I bet it will take more time than this one here. So what we are doing, because we have this distributed architecture, we have the service engines, they are the data planes, they are the real load balancers, but they are sending all those logs to the controller. Here I'm connected to the controller, and I can see an aggregated view of all the visibility and analytics for my application. If you think that's not a lot, I can tell you that you can see plenty of things. Just to emphasize this, if I go to operation here, and let's say I want to monitor this in an automated fashion, right? So I can create like an alert config here, and I can say I want to monitor all my virtual services, right? And I want to make sure that here I want to check the logs or the metric actually, right? And here you will see, if I add one here, the amount of metrics that we can monitor here. Do you see this window here? It's a lot. I bet you cannot monitor all those things, right? So what I'm saying here is, out of the box, you get so much of data points. It's about hundreds of data points per application that you can monitor automatically to make sure that your application works properly. And if it's not enough, what you can do is you can customize this. So just to make it clear here, let's say you want to go beyond that. What you can do is you can customize by using something that we called data scripts. So I don't know if you guys, you know F5 a little bit. So if you know F5, if I tell you iRules, you should know exactly what I'm talking about. iRules is like, more or less, is the same than data script. I said more or less because iRules relies on a protocol or a programming language called TCL or TCL. And here with Avi, we rely on something much more modern, which is called Lua, It's LUA. It's another programming language which is much more modern and it scales much more than TCL or Tcl. And basically you will do more or less the same with the data script. The only difference is with F5 you need iRules for a lot of things. With Avi you don't need data script for a lot of things because we have a lot of things that are built in the product. I remember years ago I was talking with some F5 customers and they told me, oh, you know, to do like an HTTP to HTTPS redirect, we are using iRules. We don't do that in Avi. It's just a checkbox and you have this configured fully automatically. But my point here is if you want to go beyond this with the Avi solution, you can rely on data scripts, and those data scripts you can create some custom counters or some custom gauge basically, and you can leverage them later on. So we have this capability if you want to go beyond that. And what kind of use case you can have here. So again, here you have the user of your application, you have the service engines, which are the load balancers, and you have the backend servers. Again, they can be physical server, VMs, or they can be containers. And those service engines, they are sending the information, the real-time metrics, the logs, to the Avi controllers. And here again, you can make sure that those information, they are available to any third-party tools that you are using. In this case, we are taking this example of VMware Aria, but you can use whatever you want because it's just basically API calls to make sure that this guy can access the information, right? And again, you can create some custom counters that you can define them basically by using a data script. Just to make sure that it makes sense, what is a data script? It's basically a script which will change, which will inspect, which will modify the data plane, right? So we are talking about configuring something. In this case, here you see you have a square, and here you have a circle. So this will not work. An illustration of this, you receive this request .html, and your servers, they are expecting to see path.index.html, right? So you understand here that at the middle, the service engine or the load balancer needs to modify this request. So again, this is what we can do with data scripts. You just have an example here. In this example, I'm using a data script, and I want to monitor all the requests which are going to this API endpoint or this URL path, basically. So as soon as this service engine will see a request going to /foo, basically, what will happen? We will increment, basically, a counter which is called foo, and later, again, I can create a report saying all those requests that they have been to this URL, they can be retrieved by any other tool. So because we are using like a kind of distributed architecture, that's not extremely easy sometimes because you see you have multiple service engines for the same application. So you understand that at the middle here, your Avi controller needs to aggregate basically those information, and later you can just request an API call to get those information. And of course, as I mentioned, you can export this to any tools of your choice. It's about having a tool which supports an API call. So anything can do that nowadays. That's it for me. Do you have any questions or anything you want me to clarify? If you want to know more, you can just scan this QR code, and we have like workshops that we run for free. We have one next week. It's about 3 days where we explore basically all the different capabilities and all the different things that the Avi products brings. So don't hesitate. You can join for free, and you will get to the registration page. All right, having said this, we have like 30 seconds on the good. So thank you so much for your time. And if you have any question, I will stay here for a few minutes. Thank you so much.